Rohit. So again, it's been some time again since we are back. So it's an interesting time of the year again since BGT is around the corner, and like we're all setting ourselves up for early mornings, like early winter mornings, watching India in Australia. We have some good memories. Last two series we have won there, but this time, who knows? Maybe it can be a hat trick, but things look a bit iffy as of now, if I'm being honest. But anyways, so given the recent 3-0 whitewash as well in New Zealand, which we haven't covered, we will talk about that as well. But first off, let's start with this. So I have Pranav with me here. So first off, let's start off with this BGT, which is going to happen from 22nd of November at Perth. First test is at Perth. So given the news coming, so I will put Pranav straight into it. So I have some thoughts. I will come. You go first, and I will go. So given the news that Shubman Gill will be missing the first test at Perth, who slots in at number 3 for you?
Interesting. I think from what I know or from what I've read, Devdutt Padikkal has been asked to stay back.
Okay.
So I think he'll start at 3. That's because he's had a decent 8 over that just concluded. He did well in the Dulip Trophy versus the Moving Ball. So yeah, KL Rahul opens in Rohit's absence. DDP at 3. Nitish Kumar Reddy makes his debut for me because I think Jadeja bats at 6. So you need someone at 7 who can bowl a bit. And then that eventually opens up an option to play Ashwin if you want to. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Probably Devdutt Padikkal, harsh on Sarfraz, but I don't think he bats at 3. But if he does, then who knows?
Yeah, so for me, like I would also be looking at Dhruv Jurel at number 3. I think given how he has gone with India A so far in the 2 innings which he has played, he has come up pretty early. I think one he was 11 for 4 when he came in. The ball was doing lots and everything. I think his technique is pretty good as of now. What I've seen from the little clips and everything. So I think he can do a decent job at number 3. Obviously not on a permanent basis maybe, but for a makeshift kind of a job for 1 test or 2 tests like that. But as you said, Devdutt Padikkal is also a decent option. So, but you said like, how would your combination be? So you said Jadeja and Ashwin both you are playing in your team, or you're going with
like so one. What I'll do is I'll open with KL and Jaiswal. Padikkal at 3, Kohli 4, Pant 5, Jadeja 6, Nitish Kumar Reddy 7, Bumrah 8, Akashdeep 9. Siraj 10 and Prasidh Krishna probably starts at 11. Okay. So you have probably Bumrah, Siraj, Akashdeep, Prasidh Krishna and Nitish Kumar Reddy alongside Jadeja. So you have 6 bowlers, amongst which 5 are pacers. So you're probably looking at a bouncy track because the last test which happened here in last January, in last December versus Pakistan, Australia batted first and scored around 400 runs, 480 runs, where David Warner was playing his last series. 126. Then Pakistan actually came back nicely. I wouldn't say great, but they came back nice. But then Australia gave them a target which they couldn't chase and they bundled out for 95, Pakistan. So the mantra here is to actually bat first. So I want someone who can bat until 7. Ideally, you would want to say, oh, look, I don't want 4 pacers. Maybe you could play Ashwin in place of Nitish Reddy. Or one of the pacers, maybe Siraj, considering his form. But I doubt that that'll be the way to go because Perth is hard and it's a both bounce. So you probably want someone to use that bounce hide because Nitish plays that short ball quite well. So I'd ideally go that way. And Ashwin can come back for one of the pacers next test in the pink ball game.
Yeah, that's yeah. So for me, so it will be like similar. Opening is same. Rahul Jaiswal. I would play Dhruv Jurel at number 3, 4 Kohli, 5 Rishabh Pant, and 6 is where I'm a bit like like thinking about, but currently I would like to see Washington Sundar at number 6. It's a call. I don't know. I know number 7 Jadeja, number 8. I would play Nitish Kumar Reddy as well because I would like the batting, since our batting has been a bit iffy, like even in home and everywhere we go. Basically, our bowlers still do a decent job, but the batting is not that great in position right now. So I would like to strengthen the batting a bit, but Nitish Kumar Reddy can do the job with the ball as well. So number 8, say Nitish Kumar Reddy. Number 9, Akashdeep Bumrah, and 11 maybe you go with Siraj or Prasidh Krishna depending on your gut call. I wouldn't. I'm not too concerned about that. So this is how my team looks as of now. The Even I would have thought about you like playing 4 out and out pacers, but only reason why I'm not going that way is since the batting has been a major concern. I think we need some depth, especially in Perth in the first test of a series. Like, so that's the only point of concern. So yeah, and okay, let's go back now a bit. So this is the Australia. So okay, first let's cover the Australia series. So given how the teams are, the venues are Perth, then I think the next is in day night Adelaide, then Gabba, and then like the Melbourne and Sydney. So do you see Jasprit Bumrah playing all 5 tests, or how do you rotate the bowlers? So what's your thought? Do you see Harshit Rana getting a game in, or how do you like manage the bowling workload?
I think there is enough gap between the tests. I think second and third test is somewhere where you would want. Uh, Let me actually check the schedule because
Hmm.
you have enough gap. So 22nd, 26th, assuming the first test gets over on
Right.
26th, day night is between 6 and 10. Um, then the third test is at the Gabba. That's
Right.
14 to 18. So that's probably I'll let Bumrah rest for the Gabba test. Probably.
Okay.
Um, and then maybe bring him back for the Boxing Day um, on the 26th. And then he can also play the Sydney game, or maybe he can rest for the Sydney game as well. So overall, I'd play him at max 3 of the 5 games. That's what I'm looking at. Yes, Harshit Rana can get. I think he'll be potentially useful in places where it'll aid more bounce. Probably I might have also thought about getting him in the Perth game, but I don't think the management is looking at that
Right.
because didn't play the A games either. So I think he'll get a game at Gabba perhaps when Bumrah is resting. Um, and then that concerns me about Siraj's form because he'll be leading the attack in Bumrah's absence. By that time, Rohit will also come back. So yeah, that sort of concerns me. But I hope Siraj he's back in form. He picks up a 5 for to lift up the spirits perhaps on Friday.
Yeah. So regarding Siraj, even I when I was like picking the team in my head, like even I said maybe pick Siraj or Prasidh Krishna. But I think when the Indian management maybe they are seeing it from first hand how good in a rhythm he is or not. But like if I think for the first test maybe they should pick him because he has done well overseas as well. I know Indian conditions are a bit different than overseas, but I think given being a senior bowler, he should get a preference. Like if he does not perform well, then you can maybe look into like somebody else in the next test. And also, I think Mohammad Shami might be flying with Rohit Sharma, so maybe Shami also gets a game in the next few tests if Bumrah is not present. So that can also work out a different dynamic. So looking forward to Shami back in action as well. He has bowled decently well in the like he has bowled some 44 overs or something in the Ranji game, so and picked up some wickets as well. So good for him. And so overall, like see, I think this Border Gavaskar Trophy feels a bit different because of like this whitewash which happened just before, like in the New Zealand one. If we take out this New Zealand series, then I think the morale and everything would have felt a lot better heading into this series. But because of this blip or this thing which happened, which we will come to later, I think people are questioning the batting and everything, the transition phase and everything. There's a bit of, I think, a lot of good leadership. It will be Gautam Gambhir's true test in the sense that, yeah, technically and everything that's fine, but to keep the minds very distraction free for all the players, with the younger players, everything will be a very important in this series as well. So obviously excited for the series, looking forward to it. And so if we talk about say the Australian side now, So, wh- what do you think? Like many people are saying that this is gonna be first time in a while Australia start off as proper favorites. Like they're actually looking better than India, which I might not disagree, but I think it will be a much closer series than what people may be thinking right now because of the New Zealand matches which happened. So, what do you think are Australians' strengths and weakness? Do you think their batting lineup is as strong to like post 400 on a regular basis, 350, or do you think what's your
No.
take over?
Oh, so they picked a squad of, I think, 13 for the
Hmm.
first test, which includes Josh Inglis and Scott Boland. They'll be the subs alongside some local people.
Hmm.
Now, if you look at the side, I think it'll be Nathan McSweeney, Usman
Right.
Khawaja, Labuschagne, or Labushakni. That's how he wants to spell his
Hmm.
name. Smith, Marsh, Carey, Cummins, Hazelwood, Starr, and Nathan Lyon. That's the standard 11 that they'll go with. Now the problem here is that Mitch Marsh hasn't bowled quite a lot post his injury of late. Um, so that might be one of the concerns where they might want to play an extra bowler in Scott Boland. And Scott Boland is terrific. I mean, it's
Right.
split up the careers of Lays. Um, that's how I think. So if you look at the batting lineup, it has potential to play hit 400, but on a regular basis, I don't think so because the opening pair is a new one, and Australia have had this problem with opening partnership quite often. I think when Smith opened, they were not quite comfortable once Warner retired. So that's why he moved to four. Now I think if you look at it, it just relies on Khawaja, Smith, and Labushkatni or Labuschagne. Uh, Beyond that, maybe a bit of Marsh and Carey because Carey's form has been quite nice of
Hmm.
late. But yeah, it's slightly reliant on these batters. Others, how do they chip in? We'll have to wait and see. Um, but what I like about Australia is their lower order contributes quite a bit with the bat. So if they're looking at if they are 250 for seven, they somehow get to 300, 320.
Right.
So
Right.
that'll be the sort of difference that we need to create on both fronts with the bat and the ball so that we clean up the tail and we score some runs with the bat. So um, I'll be looking forward to that. Perhaps it will be a competition of the two bowling attacks that play um, because both of them have a lot of potential. But I still feel Australia's bowling attack is slightly one-dimensional because most of the attack would be same for most of the parts of the series because obviously conditions are king. But this is the same bowling attack that played the last two BGTs, in fact. Only plus or minus somewhere, I don't remember. Maybe one spinner extra they might have played at Sydney, but I don't think it's it's a it's a very variety of an attack. Probably not. That's where it's a concern for Australia. But I think if they can put runs, then their bowlers will start feeling comfortable. Uh, Backup options, they're not looking at a lot of backup options as of now because um, they feel this is the first test. They just want to look at how this current attack goes about their business. There is Michael Nesser as an option, um, but I don't know if they'll play him. So that's the whole point. So Australian side looks strong, but it depends on how they start in the series because if they start well, then it's probably going to get better for them. They have to ensure that they don't start.
Right. So I feel that like this series kind of feels a bit similar to the last one because we are losing players like missing out on the confidence level is not that high as well. So, but I like as I said, this Australia side is beatable. So like they don't. It's not like the 2003 Australian side which you can't beat at home or something like that. They even lost to West Indies recently. So I think it's pretty much a beatable side, but India have to be like totally on top of their game from ball one. Like as you said, like the first two tests are very crucial to set the tempo of this series. I don't think India is going to be able to come back from 2-0 down in this test series. Like I don't think that's possible in Australia at this time. So the starting needs to be very spot on. And also, so now let's come to the major talking points which I've been seeing like everybody talking about. So what are your thoughts on Rohit Sharma?
Probably helpful. So I think runs will come for both the batters or almost all the batters in this series, but it has to be consistent. So it's not that you score 100 and then rest of the series you flop through. Uh, but yeah, I hope the runs come through for these two batters, because it's been a long wait for 81st, especially in test matches.
Right.
Virat hit a last ton, I think, on the flattest wicket possible in the world in the last PGT in India, in
Right.
Ahmedabad, alongside Akshar Patel. That was 2023 March. So it's been over a year perhaps, and I'm sure he knows that. So yeah, needs some runs under his belt. Just the sheer audacity of Kohli. That's what we want. That's
Right.
one of the greatest captains India have ever produced in Test cricket. So just won the old, because he likes Australia, and pretty sure that he knows what he needs to do. So when Rohit is not there, then the onus is more on him again, because KL Rahul, again, you have to expect consistency, but I don't know, with KL Rahul you can't predict what sort of mood is he in, what sort of patch he's going through. Um, so yeah, that's something that I'd want to see, where Kohli, what technique he comes out with, because he'd be the mainstay of the batting. I'm not talking about Pant, because it's a different tangent. But Kohli has a lot more responsibility. He has played in this venue before. So the first test ever happened here was in 2018, when Perth, India won that series 2-1.
Right. Right.
But actually, Australia won that test in 2018 by a fair margin. But Kohli hit 100 that game and did this celebration with the bat. So he knows how to score runs here, but again, it's a different ball game now. He's a completely different person, not the captain anymore. So I'd like to see what he employs as a technique.
Yeah, fair point. So I think the main difference between say 2018 Kohli and this Kohli, I think, is more of like, I think maybe if it happens with age or not, but I think the reflexes can slow down a bit, like given it's in Perth and the fast bouncy nature of the pitches. So I just hope that he can get his mindset and his reflexes in order, because it's something which comes naturally with age. You kind of just a fraction, your late fraction of a second, which can take the edge and everything. So, and hopefully he has that hunger and drive to do well, because I think that's what Kohli has never been a very technically he has obviously been technically good, but he has not been someone you look primarily for technique perspective. I think he is more of a hunger driven, temperament driven kind of a player throughout his prime and everything. So I think he has that thing inside him which can drive him forward, because Virat Kohli is needed for the world cricket, maybe next 2 years, 3 years, whatever, as long as he plays, because like especially test cricket needs Virat Kohli, that character, that everything. So all the best wishes to him. And so now let's so this is about the BGT. So okay, so just before wrapping up on BGT and going back to the New Zealand test series, so what's your prediction for this time around, scoreline?
I don't know, to be very honest. It's very interesting. I think it'll be closely fought. Probably 2-1 to India. I don't know.
2-1
I mean,
to
I'm
India.
just taking up a hunch-based call. I'd love to
That's
see
what
a few draws,
yeah.
but that's what I feel. Let's see.
Yeah, even I think like my heart wants it to be 2-1, but I don't know. Let's see. Like 2-1 will be a hat trick of 2-1s, I think, in Australia. So I think that's something to watch out for as well. I don't see any draws happening actually. I think given the players which we have available and also the Australian players, I don't think draws. Maybe in Sydney or Melbourne, but not in any of the other 3 places. I don't see a draw happening. But let's see how it goes. So anyway, so now let's go back to the to a concerning thing. So we first time in I don't know how many years we got whitewashed 3-0 in home, which is a very sad affair to be honest, by New Zealand as well. So is it just the pitches we don't play spin anymore? Like what I feel is that this was on the cards because our batting order has been failing at home even for a long time. It's the lower order which helps us out, the likes of Jadeja, Ashwin, Aksar, and all these people who are actually like bailing us out on such situations. And this did not happen this time. So basically, we lost the test match. So so what is the solution for this? What do you think? Like, is it just a transition thing, or do you think like even the younger batters are not playing spin that well nowadays? So what's your take?
I think uh, more than dwelling on us, I think I'll talk about New Zealand because
True.
they, as a side, have actually executed tactics much better than us. Because if you look at the wickets, it's not a raging turner at all because it was not turning from ball one. And the problem is that New Zealand outplayed us at a lot of area, and they don't have big names. It's not that they have proven customers in Test cricket. They are just players who Ajas Patel doesn't even play in home tests. It's just that he plays in Asian conditions. So they just executed their tactics much better. Um, and credit to New Zealand as well because the main area of concern, of course, is batting. But the problem is that our tactics were not up to the mark because New Zealand had plans for every other batter. Obviously, we made mistakes because of those tactics, but I think the major part is how New Zealand held themselves throughout the series. Obviously, first test I won't count because we got the playing 11 entirely wrong. But we still made a comeback. I mean, from being down to 350 to give them a target of 140, 150 still makes a difference, right? That's one of the greatest comebacks in Test cricket after being bowled
Right.
out for 46. But there again, it should not have been down by 350 because you uh, allowed Saudi to bat. That's where it was a problem, right? You allowed Saudi to bat. Then in the second test, you allowed New Zealand to come back in the game after seizing the advantage in the first innings. Uh, so tactics wise, we were not up to the mark. New Zealand was. That's why they won. Nothing about Indian batting as such because they're not they're not mugs with the bat because they play in spinning tracks time and again. It's just about the application of skills that will come with time because it's a transitioning side, and this was about to happen because if you have teams who execute their plans better than you, uh, I've seen Rohit falter in tactics always because we've seen that in WTC final when you fail to execute the short ball tactics versus Travis Head. It was far too late. Then again, in I think in the first test in the last series versus South Africa last December, we again faltered in techniques or application. So it's just that the mindset where you want to seize momentum quite well going forward. Even in the England series, Gill, Jurel, and Sarfraz batted well. Of course, Jadeja and Rohit did play their parts. But the sort of wickets that were there were actually sportive. It was not raging turner. It was a similar wicket here as well. I can understand why Bengaluru was a green wicket because they dished out a green one, and then there was not a lot of time between the Tulip Trophy and the first test versus New Zealand. So yeah, I mean I can't go quite deep and say okay this player faltered. No, it's not that time perhaps because I don't think the team faltered anyway. It's just that the lack of application that we saw better from New Zealand because they played well as a team. That's what matters.
True. So what I would like to say regarding the batting of Indian side is that, right, I agree with your point. New Zealand executed their skills much better and had their plans in place. But I think our batters have a very clear mind in most, except Rishabh Pant, I would say, because they were kind of, maybe if you see Sarfaraz, kind of the first ball, he swept and got out to that mid wicket area. So, which was a full toss. I think like people should be like coming out with plans like how they want to approach an innings, like rather than finding out in the middle and everything. So, but anyways, so I think Washington Sundar impressed with the bat, so that's a good thing. Even though he was coming too late in the batting lineup for my liking. But anyway, so let's come to the bowling of say Ashwin, Jadeja, and everything. I saw a stat in many of the Test matches that they were bowling far too quicker than New Zealand spinners on these pitches. So, given the experience they have, do you think that was like a tactical thing they did intentionally, or were they just found wanting on those pitches, and New Zealand kind of had their plans and analyzed better and kind of delivered that? So, what do you think on that?
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? Because um, the key for us is that we pick wickets with the new ball. Because if you look at, let's say, the Hyderabad Test, for example, where where Oli Pope outscored you, right? Uh, you know, it's a natural thing that comes with you, that you tend to feel okay. It's not our day. But I think with Ashwin and Jadeja, they are proven customers. It's just was just not their series, and it's too much to expect on them to do it time and again. Really don't uh,
So,
understand where we find backups from. There are players like Manav Sutar, Tanush Kotian, Washington Sundar in the making. But then again, it depends on what sort of plans we have in mind. So I wouldn't fault these two for what happened. Um, it's just lack of application, perhaps. You're tired, your body is aging, etc. So yeah, full credit to New Zealand.
yeah, and also I would like to see the pitches going back to the 2016-2019 Indian home season. Those sort of pitches, I think it suit India really well. But like, maybe I don't know like how it will suit this time, because Ash and Jadeja are aging. Maybe they don't have that zip in them anymore. Maybe that's a too harsh call to make. Maybe, but I think we should try that out at least in a series. I think those sort of pitches, I think that suits India better, especially given our batting as well. To have the players gain some confidence in home conditions. I think the averages are dropping more than we would want to for the Indian batters, given the pedigree they hold. So yeah, but as you said, like first of all, like a huge congrats to New Zealand for being the first team to break this huge, to achieve this massive thing, like whitewashing Indian in home conditions. Like it's something unimaginable, to be honest. Like I never thought I would see it maybe in next 50 years or something, the way things were going. But anyways, so huge congrats to them. India have work to do, especially now looking forward to the Border Gavaskar Trophy. And this series will be huge for Gautam Gambhir as well. As I said, like he has got everything in his way, the coaching staff and everything. And what I would like to say is that people are too jumping the gun. Maybe they're saying it's the last test for Gautam Gambhir, then make a call or something. But I would like to say that you can't judge someone so quickly. Maybe give him time till the England Test series and see how what are the plans he comes out with. How does he plan to manage the transition phase and everything? Because it's not a easy time to be an Indian team coach as well, given the period we are going through with the senior players and everyone. So fingers crossed, excited for the BGT. So waking up early mornings and those kind of things. So it's nice. Watching Test cricket in Australia is always a like nice thing. Like the everything, the vibe, the crowd, the conditions, everything. It's suits sets up perfectly well. So anything you want to say, Pranav, before like we sign off?
I mean, looking forward to the BGT also.
Okay, sure. Sure, then okay. Thanks all for watching this, joining us. So like do also share your comments if you're excited for the BGT. Are you concerned? How concerned are you? What are your playing 11s and everything? All those thoughts in the comments as well. So cheers all. Bye. We will be back soon again.